Welcome back to Kindness Stories, the place where true stories of everyday courage and unexpected kindness come to life. Here, we believe one kind choice can change a life forever. And today's story will remind you just how powerful standing up for yourself and for what's right can really be. Her name was Naomi Williams. If you passed Naomi in the hallway, you might not even notice her. She was the kind of girl who never tried to draw attention to herself. She sat in the second row, never the front, never the back, always right there where she could blend in. Half hidden behind her textbooks, her hair was usually pulled back into a tight ponytail, and she wore oversized sweatshirts that made her look smaller than she was. But what people didn't realize was that underneath all that quietness was a spirit stronger than they'd ever guess. Naomi's school was one of those typical suburban high schools that prided itself on diversity, or at least that's what it said on the website. In reality, Naomi was one of the few black girls in a mostly white school. It wasn't that people were outwardly cruel all the time, but there were looks, whispers, little jokes that weren't funny, the casual way. People would touch her hair without asking, as if she were some kind of exhibit. It wore her down, but she kept her head low and focused on her grades. She knew what her grandmother always told her: keep your eyes on the prize, baby. Don't let their nonsense steal your future. But the real trouble started when she caught the attention of a group of girls who called themselves the Queens. They weren't royalty, but they acted like it. They were popular, pretty, and ruthless, led by a girl named Madison. Madison had been the queen bee since middle school. She had this perfect golden hair, icy blue eyes, and a laugh that could cut through you like glass. Madison liked to test her power. She liked to find the weakest link in the chain and pull until it snapped out at first. Naomi tried to stay invisible. Like always, she'd eat her lunch at the far end of the cafeteria, earbuds in, pretending she was somewhere else. She'd slip into class just before the bell rang and leave before anyone could stop her. But one day in English, she was assigned to work on a group project with Madison and her clique. Naomi did her part, and then some, but when it came time to present, Madison stood up and took all the credit. Naomi didn't say a word. She just sat there, staring at her folded hands, wishing she could melt into the chair. After class, she heard the whispers. Look at her, just sitting there like a mute. Does she even know how to speak up? Poor thing, she probably thinks she's better than us. Madison laughed the loudest, and that's when the games began. First, it was just petty stuff. Someone knocked Naomi's books off her desk as they walked by. Someone accidentally spilled juice on her sweatshirt in the cafeteria, but it didn't stop there. One afternoon, as Naomi was putting her books in her locker, she found a note folded neatly inside. It was written in big block letters. Watch your back. Quiet girl. Naomi's stomach twisted into knots. She shoved the note into her pocket and told herself it was just a prank. Maybe they get bored and move on. But bullies don't get bored when they see you flinch. They feed off fear, and Naomi didn't know how to hide hers yet. The worst came on a rainy Thursday. Naomi had been dreading the day from the moment she woke up. She felt it, that heavy, sick feeling that wraps around you like a wet blanket. The queens were glaring at her all morning. During lunch, Madison caught her eye and mouthed, "Bathroom." Now, Naomi froze. She thought about running, but Madison's crew had already closed in around her. They flanked her on all sides, staring her like a herd of wolves pushing their prey. They guided her to the far end of the school, where the old girl's bathroom was, the one with flickering lights and peeling paint. Nobody went there anymore. That's why they chose it. Inside, Madison slammed the door shut. The echo bounced off the grimy tiles. Naomi's heart hammered in her chest. She could taste the fear at the back of her throat. "So, Naomi," Madison said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness, "you think you're better than us, huh? Sitting there all quiet, making us look bad." Naomi opened her mouth, but the words stuck to her tongue like glue. Madison stepped closer, so close Naomi could smell her perfume, that sugary vanilla scent that suddenly smelled rotten. "You know what happens to girls who act like they're better than the queens," Madison sneered. Her friend circled behind Naomi, blocking any chance of escape. Someone pushed Naomi's shoulder, hard. She stumbled back against the sinks. Madison pulled out her phone, recording everything, her thumb hovering over the screen. "Say something, Naomi. Let's hear that voice." But Naomi's voice was buried under years of swallowing her pain, years of telling herself to keep her head down, years of being told that quiet girls stay safe if they don't make waves. Madison leaned in and whispered, We could ruin you, you know that. One video, that's all it takes. Something snapped inside Naomi then. It wasn't loud. It didn't burst like fireworks. It cracked, like ice under pressure. And in that crack, a memory slipped through, her grandmother's voice. Baby, you got more power than you know. Don't you ever let them steal that from you. Naomi straightened up. Her hand stopped trembling. She looked Madison dead in the eyes, her own reflection fierce and unfamiliar in the cracked bathroom mirror. Delete the video, she said, her voice steady, low. And move out of my way. Madison blinked. For a second, her smirk faltered. One of the girls behind Naomi scoffed. What are you gonna do, huh? Tell the principal. Nobody's gonna believe you. Naomi took a step forward. Her heartbeat was still racing, but the fear had turned into something else, something hot and clear, like a fire lit deep in her chest. I'm not asking you, Naomi said. I'm telling you, delete it. Madison's phone hand wavered. She glanced at her friends. They were waiting for her to laugh it off, to shove Naomi again, to break her down. But Naomi didn't back away. She took another step, and then she did something none of them expected. She pulled out her own phone. Naomi had been recording the whole time. She lifted it up for everyone to see the blinking red light. Madison's face drained of color. You think you're the only one who can ruin someone's life, Naomi said, her voice calm. Try me. For a heartbeat. Nobody moved. Madison's mask slipped just enough for everyone to see the fear behind it. She lunged forward, trying to grab Naomi's phone, but Naomi stepped back, holding it tight. Touch me again, and this goes to the principal, to the school board, to your parents. I don't care, Naomi said. Delete your video, now. The girls looked at Madison, waiting for her cue, but Madison was frozen. She knew she was trapped. If Naomi's video got out, the bullying, the threats, her perfect image would shatter Dot with trembling fingers. Madison opened her phone, pulled up the video, and hit delete. Naomi watched her do it. Then she lowered her phone, took a breath, and walked right through their circle. Nobody stopped her. Nobody dared. She walked out of that bathroom taller than she'd ever felt. It wasn't just the threat of the video. It was the power of finally saying, enough. The power of refusing to shrink herself just to survive. Word spread fast. The queens didn't mess with Naomi again. Other kids, who had been watching from the shadows, started to smile at her in the halls, sit next to her at lunch, ask her if she wanted to join their study groups. It was like the school saw her for the first time, the real her. And Naomi realized something important. Being quiet didn't mean being weak. Being kind didn't mean letting people walk all over you. Sometimes kindness is standing up, for yourself and for others who can't yet. That year, Naomi started a new club at school, Voices Rising. It was for anyone who ever felt too small, too alone, too scared to speak up. The club became a safe space for students to share their stories, build each other up, and learn how to stand strong in the face of hate. Naomi found her voice, and she gave others the courage to find theirs too. Years later, when Naomi walked across that stage to get her diploma, she looked out at the sea of faces, the same ones who used to ignore her or look right through her. She saw her grandmother in the front row, clapping so hard her hands must have hurt. And Naomi smiled because she knew she hadn't just survived high school, she changed it. After graduation, Naomi went on to study social work. She wanted to help kids like her, kids who felt invisible, kids who needed someone to remind them they were stronger than they knew. She kept the recording of that day on an old flash drive, not because she needed proof anymore, but because it reminded her how much can change in a single moment when you decide to stand up. Sometimes the world tries to tell quiet girls to stay quiet, to not make a fuss, to accept the scraps they're given. But Naomi's story shows us the truth. Kindness isn't weakness, and standing up for yourself isn't just bravery. It's a kindness to every kid who's ever watched you and thought, maybe I can be brave to Dot. And that, my friend, is what we believe in here on Kindness Stories. That one voice can ripple out and change a school, a community, even the world. Naomi's story reminds us that no matter how small you feel, your courage matters. If you're watching this and you've ever felt like Naomi, unseen, unheard, or pushed around, I want you to remember her next move. Remember that crack. When the fear breaks and the fire comes through, remember you are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to say enough. You are allowed to stand tall. And Ma,